Hello, everyone, and welcome to Horror Night Oasis, a radio show where we discuss all the latest movies and news from the world of horror. Joining me tonight, as always, to kick off this month-long marathon, Ian. Ian, are you there?
Psychologically, no.
That is true. I mean, as I mentioned when we first got on, there's a lot to unpack with our show tonight, and I don't know if that's for better or good, but we will be the proprietors of discerning that information to the public, whether it's good or because there's no IMDb page. I created the letterbox page, so we'll see by the time what happens with our state of mind after this one. But we are here to kick off our Christmas Murderland marathon, and boy, it's already started with murdering our minds, so I'll say that much. And the weather, of course, is getting bad out there. The ice is coming down in my area, so
it's
a busy
almost
week on my end.
A couple inches of snow here.
That's probably heading my way, but it's just sleeting and all that fun stuff. And like I said, it's busy couple weeks actually. So I'll see how that turns out. But we are here we might as well get into this, Ian, as we kick off the Christmas Murderland. Last year was a wild ride, and this year's off to a start. Because last year we got introduced to Granny Krampus and the Crazy Cats, which was a mind-blowing experience like no other. Like I don't know how come no one. I think we're still the only ones that's reviewed that film, online anyway. It's wild, and then we got so many things we reviewed, and this is another one in the long line of Christmas. What the hell?
Major. What the hell?
Yeah. Christmas Bloodbath, and that's our film. And like I said, the premise of this one sounded promising. It sounded, honestly, a little bit of it. I knew it was low budget. I knew it was very, very small budgeted. But I was expecting sort of a charming waxwork with Christmas characters or something like that. I mean, it's sort of there, but it's, we're like Frankenstein's Hungry Dead, which is people going into a wax figure museum, and the figures come alive. I think Richard Griffin did that one. But I was thinking, okay, these people go to this animatronic holiday themed museum, Killer Santa and all kinds of other things. So like, okay, that doesn't sound too bad. Plus, it being animatronics, and of course, Five Nights at Freddy's Part 2 coming out soon, I figured, like, let's do it. Let's see the low budget and then see the high budget stuff. And boy, this was not exactly what I expected, but I didn't hate it either. It's just one of those films where you're just in for a ride, good and bad. So let's try to pack this synopsis. So the film starts off promising, because we're introduced to Mrs. Chapman and her daughter. Her daughter is pregnant, and the very first thing you see is her getting dragged by the collar of her nightgown into the bedroom. And Miss Chapman, or Maddie as she likes to be called, is not happy that her daughter is pregnant. And so she proceeds to perform a wire hanger abortion. And when you have that kick off your film, I'm prepared. I'm ready to go, because again, over the years, Ian knows, I've mentioned it before, when you have that type of violence, I'm kind of down. It's awful to be in that state of mind, but I find that shit funny, because it's ridiculous and it's absurd. And I was like, okay, we're off to a strong start when you have a wire hanger abortion to kick off your film. And so that there's more to it for the reasoning behind the abortion, but we'll get to it a little bit later. Then we're introduced to Hans and Greta, aka G, their brother and sister. Greta she's not she's non-binary, and so instead of being a sister, she's just called G. So there's a little bit of that stuff in there as well. And so Hans works, or Greta, both of the two sort of work for this corporation called Slime Corp, and it's run by Mr. Leach, and we'll get into Mr. Leach. So they're going to Mrs. Chapman's house to sign over the paperwork for her house, to basically demolish it and build another whatever building or whatever they need for their corporation, a factory or something. They just need the paperwork signed. And of course, Mrs. Chapman isn't really going for the paperwork, because years prior, her husband, Mr. Chapman, created this holiday-themed Christmas animatronics house, where again you have all the toys, people dressed up. He dressed up as Santa, and it was just like a fun themed thing for kids. Well, at the same time, there was these kids that were disappearing from the street in that neighborhood that they lived in, and all the people of the neighborhood and the community basically took it into their own hands and pinpointed that it has to be Mr. Chapman, because he has, he's wanting all these kids to come see this fun, this holiday themed fun house, and they're gone missing. And so they just, all the fingers pointed to Mr. Chapman. And so everything's basically, and plus he's like an inventor. So he had this patent on these, animatronics that he made. And so Hans and G are wanting this paperwork done, and Mrs. Chapman says, well, why don't you go over and look at the holiday themed house and just do what you need to, just look around it and stuff like that. And at the same time, her daughter, who she's saying is now dead, but she's still alive, and she is living upstairs in the bedroom, and her daughter is sort of albino, and she has red eyes now, due to the toxic waste chemicals that's being spread out from Slime Corp. Then we're introduced to, well, we're not introduced, but we have to bring this up. We have Mr. Leach, and Mr. Leach runs the corporation, and he has a secondhand, technically a secondhand man, but it's a woman who is, Jesus, how do I put this? She let's say she's toxic. I'll just say she's toxic right now until I get to the spoilers, because I don't want to give spoilers away yet. So she kind of has things going on with her, from her breasts to her face. There's a lot of stuff going on with the sidekick of Mr. Leach. And
yeah,
Ian, we have to say it, Mr. Leach, this is going to be the point where it's going to make or break a lot of people when they watch this, if they made it past the abortion. But Mr. Leach, you think he's a person, he's a main character in this film. Everyone is people. No, he is a puppet. He is a literal puppet. And he's the head of this conglomeration, and he's running these experiments and these drinking this toxic drink that he's making, and everyone's drinking the toxic drink, and he wants these people to say yes, and if they don't agree with him, he presses a button, Dr. Evil style, and they go into a pit of alligators. And so that's Mr. Leach, which we'll get into a little bit later on. His more involvement with the film. And then we're also introduced to the Rancid Beavers. And they are a punk band. And I guess they got hired by Mrs. Chapman to come over and just do music and sing and party in the holiday themed house. It doesn't really, there's not really much conversation. Well, there's a lot of conversation, but like that part is like not really discussed upon further. It just seems like, oh, we got to do this, and they're at the house and they start partying. And there's a lot of dialogue. There's a lot of inner dialogue from Hans. He's the narrator of the film. He's talking about his sister and how it's it's been difficult, but freeing of what she's been, what she did. And then the whole storyline with Mrs. Chapman's daughter, and like, oh, is she real? Is she not real? I know she's real. I've seen her. And then a lot of other stuff as well. It's just like he's the narrator of the film and all the stuff that's happening as the film progresses. Once they get to the house and all the animatronics and toys come alive and start attacking them and all the other characters of the film. And then, of course, Mr. Leach and his henchmen show up. It's a wild, quirky, farcical, silly movie. And for the most part, I had fun with it because it's so ridiculous. Like the way Mrs. Chapman was portrayed was funny. It's like very campy. She was more like so camp. There's some okay. There's a lot of green screen usage as well. So if this is like just people on a green screen, like you walk into a room, they're looking into a house, it's green screen. They're in a window, like if you cannot stand a lot of heavy green screen usage and like displacement or proportion displacement of like characters being bigger than they should be, you're not going to really dig the film that much. But I had fun with what it was. The only drawback is like it's too long. Like it's an hour and 46, and it's every minute an hour and 46. Even though I enjoyed the ebbs and flows of the film as it progressed, and there was some decent, okay gore. It's very cheap gore. There's some CGI bits here and there. But it just didn't really take me out of the film. Because it was just like the dialogue is just like very. Another thing is like the dialogue is very vulgar. Like they hit the hard R for a handicapped person. They hit the hard C for a woman's privates. So it's very vulgar.
Yeah.
In that regard as well. But again, I didn't mind it. I was like, man, they're really going for the gusto here, and they don't have no shame. And I kind of give it props for that. For just like, you really do not care, and I kind of like that about you. It's just like, put your feelings aside if you don't like harsh language and everything else. We're gonna throw it all out there. And then there's the twins. Like, there's so many characters. Like, there's the conjoined twins that worked at the holiday themed house. There's the neighborhood watch lady who's too nosy for her own good. Then there's the other person that's coming for Mr. Leach that is trying to figure stuff out. There's a lot of characters and a lot of things happen. The Rancid Beavers, like once they get introduced, they're just vulgar to each other, and then I don't want to give that away yet until we get into spoilers. But like, again, I liked part of it. It's not like 100% like enjoyable fun, like I was hoping for. It kind of reminded me of Jack versus Lanterns, whereas like in our review of that, like there's a lot of heavy green screen usage, and just like the effects are kind of low, and just like people in like one setting just using the best of their advantage and budget. Is like it's Jack versus Lanterns in that regard, as well as like a little bit of their Snow Escape with the Killer Snowman movie, and like sort of like the aspect of that, like the little campiness and cheesiness of that film. But yeah, it's silly and it's farcical, and it's just kind of dumb, but it's not like fun dumb. It's just like this is dumb. And again, the length of it really kind of puts a lot of damper on it because like they could have trimmed a lot of this down.
Oh yeah.
Even there's like so much to it. Like I get it, it's a big elaborate story, sort of. But there's like all these characters, and then finally the animatronics come alive towards the last act. And then like things happen towards the end that don't really like. I don't think a cop's gonna do that when you when you shoot it. And I don't want to get into spoilers, but there's a lot of stuff that just kind of harkens, just like dampers the experience a little bit. And there's a lot of times where I was just kind of like, I wasn't zoning out. I just like wasn't all too interested as the film progressed because it was way too long. I had fun with parts of it, and some of the conversations were ridiculous, and just scenes as well. There's especially the one with the rancid beavers. There's one scene that's just like, oh, this is happening now. The human centipede going on there. But it was fine for what it was. Like I said, if you want something kind of dumb and silly and farcical and just it's not taking itself too seriously, but it's kind of just like still vulgar out of nowhere. It's worth a watch. But it was all right for what it was. I mean, I expected worst, honestly. It's like I have to give it a step up to like Granny Krampus, compared to last year and some of the other ones. Because like the story is intriguing enough, and again, you have Mr. Leech the puppet and like everything that's going on with him. And we'll get into spoilers with him too. There's some spoilers with Mr. Leech. And his female friend. But Ian, I'll let you give your thoughts, and then we'll go back and forth.
Wow. That was a movie. That was my thoughts. No. The puppet thing was hilarious. I always enjoy when a random character is a puppet for no apparent reason. And you don't need one. There's just so much going on. There are so many different like storylines, and like because you had the siblings, then you had the mother and daughter, you had everything that was going on with the puppet dude. Then you had these random conjoined twins. Then you had the band. It was just, I was like, oh my God, there's way too much going on. Like,
and then the random nun just like gets called.
Oh yeah, yeah. I totally almost forgot about the random nun. Like that, it was just.
And then her, so many characters. And then the daughter's boyfriend, who is also the son of Mr. Leech, which was just a regular dude, who was the one that got her pregnant in the first place. So.
Yeah, and it was just so many different characters, so many different things, everything happening at the same time, and it was just so much to take in that I was having a hard time focusing on one storyline by the time that they were throwing me into three different ones. And I think that was my biggest drawback for this film. Like, I think that is its biggest flaw, is that it's just, it was too ambitious for what it was. It was too long. And I was like, a good hour and 20 minutes probably would have been fine had they shaved down some of the useless stuff. And some of the gags just felt like they were trying too hard with it. And like the jokes, some of them weren't landing properly. But, it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad film. I want to, say that. It is long. There is a lot going on. It's funny. I was laughing at it. Mostly at it, not because of anything that was going on the screen. It was just how hard they were trying with it. And like the robot, like here's a mild spoiler. There's a robot Santa and it gets a chainsaw to the groin and then 2 Christmas ornaments plop down. I was like, okay. I was like, I get it. That's a pretty funny joke, but I was like, I felt like it was too obvious and it was just setting up to be too hard. Also, the whole thing with the band was just one big, like, I get it. It was funny, but it was trying so hard. Especially when they were in a line, in a little conga line, fucking in that basement.
Yeah, that's the human centipede conga line.
Shut up and keep fucking me. That was something.
And see, this something else too. A lot of the people that plays characters play more than just one character. So you have like the guy that plays the punk, not the main punk, but like the goth punk. He's also the Mr. Leach's lady sidekick, and then he's like a nurse at the end, and then the daughter of Mrs. Or Maddie, she's the daughter, and then she's like one of the angry townsfolk that kills the husband, the Santa husband, and then she's also like a doctor and nurse at the end as well. So there's a lot of double roles for the people. So it's one of those where it's just one of those like, okay, put a wig on, put a hat on, put this mustache on, and just do this part. It's just like it's a very tight knit sort of working environment where it's just like a bunch of people just doing this. Like, all right, you get more than one role. You get this role and that role and this role. It's just like a lot of that going on in it as well. So, like, I don't. Again, if like for us, like this is fine, like, but other people is not going to be so receptive of it as kindly as we are because we've seen a lot of shit.
We've seen things that no human should have ever watched.
Yeah. And so like in a part, like I said earlier, it has sort of like a weird charm to it where it's just like the audacity of just like being sort of just nasty and vulgar with like in a Christmas man. I mean, they did that before, of course, like with Christmas Cruelty, where they killed the baby in the beginning of that one with a buzzsaw. But like this one, it has some okay gore. I mean, it's just like the effects, some of the just CGI green screen effects were a little abundant, but again, I get it. And like you can see some of the sets were built and they used the fake snow, like the fluff snow. The I don't know what's the term it is, but it's the fake snow in the bag where it's sort of like the Halloween cobwebs. That's just like stringy, but you do that with the snow, and it's just like it has a charm to it, and it's sort of endearing. But again, it is like some of the actual practical gore effects, like they use like crappy severed heads, paper mache heads, arms being cut in half. I mean, there's some practical effects in there, which mixed in with the CGI, and again, it has a good balance. But again, that you just have to really set yourself in for that length of the film and just a lot of dialogue and a lot of story driven elements, and it's very just in your face with this story. And again, I kind of wish it had more of the animatronics killing people. You had like the toys, like the little toy elf and the cars, and then you had the Santa, but like that's kind of about it. Like it was mainly just like Mr. Leach and the female henchman going around doing stuff. And like all the other stories just like going back and forth. So it's like mainly story driven with a little bit of the animatronics towards the end there. And like I really wanted a little bit more with it in that regard. If you're gonna make like a holiday themed animatronics museum, and then you're just gonna do a few things here and there, it just felt lacking in that department.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Like, I also wish they did more with the toys. It just kept getting just so weird.
Yeah, I think Toys for Terror did, or was it Toys of Terror, the one with the toys in the attic for Christmas? I think that did it better.
Yeah,
with like the killer toys.
I didn't read the description or anything. I just pressed play. I went into this 1,000% blind, just going by off the poster. And I was like, I have no clue what is going to happen. And as I was watching this, I was like, I have no clue what is happening. But I don't know. I mean, it was fun for what it was. Like, it was a good movie to just be done with.
Yeah.
And
I mean, when you have a moment in the film where like, oh, I need milk. Mr. Leach is like, he's having his tea or coffee or something. And like, oh, I need my milk. And then the female assistant pulls her top down, shows her tits, and then like squeezes like milk acid chunks of like cottage cheese milk curds out of her nipples into in his coffee. And then like, oh, just what I needed. And like he looked at the other sidekick or the other guy and like, do you want some? And like, sure, I'll take some. And then like her in between her tits open up and like there's a mouth. And it's like she's mutated between her tits and like eats his head. And so it's one of those movies where it's just like they're just going for it. It's stupid, it's fun, it's campy, and it's just like they're just having fun. I mean, that's what it technically is. It's just dumb fun. I mean, it's just too long though. I mean, after a while, it's like one of those just like running jokes. After a while, it defeats the purpose.
Yeah, I mean,
there was like. Go ahead.
I was saying, with that too, they crammed everything together, like, and the slow parts, like were way too slow. And then everything kind of just goes from one thing to another. And it was just all happened so quickly at the same time as it just taking forever. Like, I mean, you really do feel that one, the whole runtime. And there's barely I think like maybe a minute or two of credits because they don't have that many people. So like, between the opening and the ending, I'd say that's like 2-3 minutes max out of a 146 film. So you feel every minute of that movie. And it's not like it's not it's not enjoyable in any sense because it's really fun. Like, it's just stupid, hilarious fun. Some of the jokes in there, like the breast milk thing. I could see that in like a Lloyd Kaufman film.
Yeah, definitely very trauma-esque.
Yeah, like I can see I was like, you could tell the inspiration for it was like they just wanted to make a trauma-like movie that was beyond absurd for Christmas. And I feel like they succeeded. And you can really You can really feel the love in this movie, though. Like, they put their heart and soul into this thing. And I love seeing passion projects where you can tell, like, everybody involved really wants to be in it and really wants to do this. And it's just such a nice feeling when you, like, watch a movie and you're like, yep, this is, you can tell, like, when they were done, like, this is exactly what we wanted.
Yeah.
So,
like I said, it's definitely one of those, like, in the acting is like it's going to be hit or miss for a lot of people. Like with us, like, we're fine with it. Like, we don't really judge acting, but, you know, for this one, this is very, you know, very rough. Some of it is. It's not the roughest we've seen, but, like, again, it's very, you know, just like backyard, you know, do-it-yourself filmmaking, which this is. Because I'm assuming it was, like, again, it was all in, like, the directors or someone who knows house, shooting all this stuff. And, like, the people he knows, you know, small, like I said, very small group of people. Then again, the effects, I think I already brought up the effects, but, like, there's another effects with the toxic waste part gets in there, and, like, the face melts on the person, and, like, it's all open, and, like, she has the skull showing, and, like, they're fighting back and forth. There's good moments in the film. And it's just, again, like, it's just stupid. And that's kind of like you said, Ian, with, like, you want that, you know, Lloyd Kaufman trauma-esque kind of stuff. And it's, they managed to do that, even though it's a little too on the nose, a little, you know, at times, where it's just like, okay, I get it, move on. There's just, like, again, those conversations just, like, that led nowhere with, like, especially the band. Like, I get the idea, but again, like, a lot of their scenes just felt like, oh, they're just there to get killed, which basically they were, but there's, like, no, I still don't know the setup to them. They're just there and got hired, I guess. I'm assuming. But yeah, it was fine for what it was. I mean, if you want something, again, sort of in the vein of a trauma film with Christmas settings and, like, a puppet. I always love puppets. Oh, it's funny. But yeah, Mr. Leach, and then, like, of course, Maddie, the mom, who's, like, the proprietor of everything, and it's all really centered around her. There's some fun moments to be had in there, and it's chuckle worthy, it's silly, and they're just having a fun time making something ridiculous, and it's worth checking out if you're into the type of films that, like, we are. You know, like, this is the type of stuff, like, yeah, it's not going to be anybody, you know, a lot of people's cup of tea, but there's, like, some solid moments in there, and there's some good gore. I mean, it starts off strong with the wire hanger abortion, and then you have the toxic waste scene, then you have the breast milk, the toxic breast milk, and then the tits biting the guy's head off, and it just goes on from there. Like, yeah, the animatronic stuff is a little bit lacking, which is a shame. But and plus it kind of ends on a weird note as well. I wouldn't, not the hospital stuff, but before that with, like, the cop, and just, like, that doesn't make sense, but whatever. Because, like, she shoots the Santa's head and it opens up and it's robotic, and yet the cop still shoot. It's stupid. It's just one of those things, just for a means to an end. But yeah, it's fine for what it is. I mean, I enjoyed aspects of it. But again, that runtime is just rough on anyone. But if you can get past that, I mean, there's a little bit of fun to be had if you enjoy that trauma stuff. But Ian, any final thoughts?
I don't really know. I don't think I have any more thoughts. I think everything has kind of been said without getting into, like, major spoilers.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think this movie might be a little too new and too available to kind of get into the extreme spoiler territory right away. I mean, I'm up for it if you are, but, like, I don't really have any other thoughts other than just
Well, there's not really that much when it comes to spoilers anyway. It's just like she wants, Maddie just wants to get revenge for what happened to her husband, and then like if anything, and either if you're connected to it or not, she's not happy with it, and she just wants to kill for her revenge, and that's basically it. I mean, there's like that's pretty much the gist of it, and then you have all the conglomerate stuff of Mr. Leach just wanting the property and doing like the experiments on stuff, but yeah, there's not really too much else really to get into it. I mean, there's a good brother and, again, air quotes, brother and sister bond with G. Like they're decent in that regard. There's a decent story there. The love story between the daughter and the Mr. Leach's son, that's kind of swept under the rug a little bit. It's just like, oh, I need to escape, and then they escape, and then all of a sudden he's, gets an axe to the face, or a hatchet, meat cleaver. But yeah, there's not really too much else to say. So I'll just leave it at that. If it's something you're interested in, check it out. I mean, there's some fun to be had if you can get past the runtime. And again, it's just, like I said, it's just silly and farcical. So if you like that kind of stuff, like we said, like the humor's a little vulgar in that regard. But it's like nothing as bad as a trauma film. I mean, it tries to be, but trauma is like, especially if you watch like Shakespeare's Shitstorm, like that's like full on like Jesus. But yeah, it's just it's fun, for what it is. I mean, it's charming for what it is. But yeah, that's going to do it for our inaugural episode for this year's Christmas Murderland Marathon. And we will be back with more holiday horrors as the month progresses. As always, Ian, it's been great talking with you. And I hope everything goes well with you and the family.
I'm back at you.
And I appreciate everyone for listening. And we will see you next time here on Horror Night Oasis.
Good night.